Live.
Commissioner Collins, you ready?
Yes.
Alyssa, if you want to do the countdown for our roll.
Good evening, everyone. This is Alyssa from CCTV TV. I want to request if we could do an unofficial roll call of all the commissioners before we go live so that I can have everyone who's supposed to be pinned on my teams, if that's possible.
Sure. Sharon, if you could do your unofficial roll call for your commissioners, and if the commissioners, if you can have your camera on, then we can pin you onto our broadcast.
Carol, are we going to start with us?
No, we know
Okay.
Alyssa doesn't know the other commissioners from the other counties. So we need Calvert and St. Mary commissioners just to announce your name, and then Alyssa can pin you for the broadcast.
St. Mary's County Commissioner Eric Colvin, District 1, St. Mary's County. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Commissioner Morgan, St. Mary's County.
Mike Hewitt, St. Mary's County.
Commissioner John O'Connor, District 3, St. Mary's County.
Chris Gadway, District 2, Calvert County.
Carol, this is Rachel from Calvert County. Commissioner Hance and Commissioner Gadway are showing on teams under the name Justin Shutt.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly McConkey, Calvert County Commissioner, District 3.
All right, so I believe that's everyone. All right, Alyssa, whenever you want to start the countdown.
Okay, stand by. $40 seconds. $20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The February 9th, 2022 Charles County Commissioners meeting is now officially called to order. We will begin this session with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, commissioners. Commissioners, the first item on the agenda is we are having the joint meeting with the Board of County Commissioners from Charles County, Calvert County, and St. Mary's County. We're going to begin with a official roll call. I will take the roll call for the Charles County Commissioners. Commissioner Bowling.
Present.
Commissioner Coates.
Here.
Commissioner Stewart.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Rucci.
Here.
And Commissioner Collins.
Here.
All commissioners from Charles County are present. St. Mary's, if you will do your roll call, please.
Commissioner Colvin.
Present.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Present.
Commissioner Hewitt.
Present.
Commissioner Morgan is present. I believe Commissioner Guy is absent.
Thank you. Calvert County, can you do your official roll call, please?
Commissioner Hance,
Here.
Commissioner Gadway,
Here.
Commissioner Conkey,
Present.
and Commissioner Hart and Commissioner Weems are absent.
All right, thank you. The first item on the agenda, Commissioners, is item 2.03, which is what we call Commissioner Comments. Commissioners, this is the opportunity for any commissioner bring up any items or comments that they'd like to present before the joint meeting officially gets underway.
Mr. Soto, I only want to add to all of the commissioners present, if there is an item that you'd like to be discussed that's not on the agenda as is written, this is certainly an open meeting, and we welcome any discussion areas that you find relevant for us to explore today. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Commissioners, if there's no comments or questions. All right, we'll move on to the meat of this meeting, which is item 2.04, which is the joint meeting. And we will begin with opening remarks.
And again, this is Ruben Collins, Charles County Commissioner President. I want to say welcome to everyone. Welcome to our colleagues representing the Southern Maryland region. It's crazy how it was maybe about 2.5 years ago when we convened our first joint meeting, and it was at the College of Southern Maryland in Calvert County. It was an in-person event. It was a packed room. I'm sure not one of us could even conceive of the idea of a pandemic that would be a part of what our future would hold. But as a region, we've addressed that. We're moving forward. This, more than anything, is an opportunity for us to kind of, look back where there has been progress on some of the issues that were raised during that initial meeting, and also explore other potential issues. Charles County prides itself as being a partner in the Southern Maryland region. We also recognize, because of our topography, we are also a part of the metropolitan Washington region. That gives us a unique perspective. But at the end of the day, the partnerships that we've established with you representing Southern Maryland is something that we take pride in. And we understand, because of our connectivity, we're able to service all of our residents. And so on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, I just want to thank the two boards for participating. And I guess at this time, my colleagues from Calvert and St. Mary's, if you had opening remarks, we could start with that.
Buddy, you want to go first?
Well, that's the trouble with Zoom. You never know who's going to go when. So, sure. This is Buddy Hance. I'm president of the Calvert County Board of Commissioners, and I want to thank Commissioner President Collins for organizing this meeting today. And as he has stated, the last 2 years have been quite a challenge that none of us foresaw when we took office. But we've come through it fairly well, I believe. And, we only do that when we work as a team, and we certainly are a region that solidifies every effort that we take. And like I said, once again, appreciate all the cooperation with all of our colleagues in the other two counties. Thank you. Commissioner Morgan?
Thank you, Mr. Hance. On behalf of St. Mary's County, I also want to thank Ruben for Commissioner Collins organizing this and getting everybody together. Obviously, we have a lot of issues in common, and there's disagreements also that, we rise along the way, but we find ways to settle those differences so that we can move forward in a very positive direction. So thank you.
I don't know if any of the commissioners, any of my colleagues, if you had any comments before we got started.
I just want to thank everybody for being here. I had an opportunity earlier today to speak before the Senate committee about the SMATIC bill, and it seemed like that was something we all agreed upon, and it looks like it's going to move forward positively. So I'm proud of it, and I thank you all for the support for SMATIC.
Anyone else?
Just want to say hello to everyone and welcome to the Charles County virtual meeting. Thank you so much for joining.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Commissioner Stewart. Just glad that everyone could meet today. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone.
Thank you. And with that, we'll go over the agenda. And as I stated before, this agenda is very open. If there are any issues that you'd like to see raised, please do that. But we do have a few things that were discussed prior to through the 3 commissioner presidents. And we're going to start with a discussion. It was requested from St. Mary's County to talk about the animal adoption and resource center control.
I guess that's going to be me. I'm Steve Walker. I'm the Director of Emergency Services. So this is a pretty exciting time for us, for the shelter. It's under construction. It is located on FTR Boulevard in California. That's down to behind the Walmart and Lowe's. And it's coming along very well. The expected completion date of construction is July 2nd. We anticipate that will be turned over to the Department of Emergency Services around July 15th, but still not time to move in yet. We are searching for our shelter manager now. We're doing interviews this week. Hopefully we'll get that person hired. Need a good 6 months of that person in place, getting policies written, get everything outfitted into the building. So we have a little bit more work to do. Funding to hire the remaining shelter staff is included in our fiscal year 23 budget recruitment plan for the next year's budget. That funding, if it's passed, will be approved July 1st, and we can start June 1st doing the search for that. Our target date to actually open is September 12th, right after Labor Day. So that's probably when we'll be moving to end our contract with Charles County, which has been a great partnership, by the way, over the years. But we'll be going in following the contract and providing the notice as required. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, but that's all I have for now.
Questions? No questions, no additional comments. We have next on the agenda, and this is a request from Calvert County, and it was really to kind of get feedback from the jurisdictions on the process of establishing your police accountability board. And so I would imagine for Charles County, I guess, Mr. Adams, I don't know if Ms. Mitchell is on as well, but we'll begin with Calvert County because they requested this.
Thank you, President Collins. You know, on our call Monday morning, we talked about issues that we share in, and just wanted to get an update from, provide an update on where we are and hear from the rest of the counties about where they are. So I'm going to turn it over to John Norris, our county attorney, and he can update you on where we are in our process. John?
Good afternoon. John Norris, County Attorney for Calvert. We are coming back to the Board of County Commissioners after our third public meeting, our first public hearing, and expecting that they may take action as soon as February 15th to start getting those boards impaneled so they can start their work not later than July 1, 2022. So that's where we are. There have been a number of lunches, dinners, in meeting with community representatives. It's put at least 20 pounds on me, so I'm going to have to stop just jumping to conclusions and get back to the gym.
So as John said, we're about concluded our process to establish the board, and we'll be opening up for applications soon. It's quite an interesting process. We started that process with a draft that was developed by Commissioner Hutchins just before he left office, and put that out for the public, and we made changes after every meeting. And at the last meeting, I think we only had one real concern. Everybody else thought the plan looked pretty good. So at the end of that process, when you get to that point, you feel pretty good about it when everybody's in agreement that you've done a good job. So the next part is the hard part where we pick the participants and then actually implement the program. So I was just interested to see where the rest of you were in your process and what that looked like. So thank you, President Collins.
Thank you. St. Mary's.
Mr. Weisskopf,
yes. I apologize. I had to unmute. David Weisskopf, County Attorney for St. Mary's. We're a little bit behind Calvert in that we just requested to take our proposed draft to public hearing. So we'll advertise that for 2 weeks, take it to public hearing, see the comments we get on it, and then bring it back to the commissioners in, about 7-8 days after that. What we've done, and I guess, everybody knows that the Administrative Charging Committee is 5 members and how they're picked. In terms of the PAB, the Police Accountability Board, they basically left it up to the individuals. So our proposed draft, I don't know what Calvert ended up with or where Charles is going. Our proposed draft is just 5 members of the Police Accountability Board. We'll see if the commissioners want to increase it, decrease it, or what. And, hopefully with those 5 members, we'll be able to do what the legislature, requires of us. I know that we were kind of hoping to get a little bit more guidance from Annapolis on some of these matters, but it doesn't look like that's coming. So we'll do the best that we can. And I've got Wes on cell phone and I've got John's cell phone. So between the 3 of us, we'll figure it out. But that's where we are so far.
Mr. President, may I?
Yes, sir.
So first, let me say, with respect to the powerful triumvirate of county attorneys between Mr. Weisskopf and Mr. Norris, I'm happy to count myself a part of that group. In Charles County, we have drafted a resolution. We have drafted criteria for our membership. Dave, we have a 9-member board. We've had a public hearing on the board. In fact, we have now put it out for advertisement. We've discussed the process for establishing our board and everything else. We are literally just waiting for the flood of citizens who wish to be a part of this new project to present themselves to the county commissioners for our applications to be reviewed and for applicants to be interviewed. The commissioners held one public hearing on our resolution. They passed the resolution, it seems like 2 or 3 months ago at this point, and we established a set of criteria to ensure, and with the attempt or with the hope that we're ensuring a fair board who can resolve these matters that the public can have faith and confidence in. Thank you, Commissioner President.
Commissioner Collins, you're muted.
Yeah, I said, any more further questions or any comments from anyone? Okay. And moving right along, the next item on the agenda is to discuss, hang on 1 sec. An update on EMS mutual aid. And again, no particular order. So actually, I think this was it's listed under Charles County. So I guess we would kind of take the lead with this one.
Good evening, Commissioners. Michelle Lilly, Director Emergency Services for Charles County. I have been in contact with my counterparts in your respective counties, Director Stephen Walker and Director Al Jeffrey. We collectively agreed that with changes that have been made in St. Mary's that include the addition of career EMS, we need more time to really evaluate what that impact is upon our mutual aid services between the three counties. So we're really projecting that around July of 2022 or after, we would be able to give another update on what that mutual aid looks like and be able to effectively evaluate the data and make a recommendation for the necessary modifications to our mutual aid agreements among the three counties. So please let me know if you have any questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lilly. From Calvert or St. Mary's?
So I guess that Commissioner Hance, we appreciate the efforts that St. Mary's County is making to address their shortfall. Just the same situation that we went through a year or so ago. So, for us, our issue was in St. Mary's down at southern end of the county. And like I said, we really appreciate the effort that St. Mary's is making and helps us and we help them. So just want to put that out there, Commissioner Morgan.
Trying to get these buttons to work. Thank you, Commissioner Hance. We recognize that, we have a shortfall in our volunteer workforce based on the COVID, as you all have recognized. And we are steadfastly working towards getting a professional crews to staff our stations, particularly to try to take in the north end of the county the workload off Mechanicsville. We have a new ambulance coming in to be put at the Charlotte Hall Veterans Home that can be used jointly, probably between running calls for Mechanicsville and for the Veterans Home. And then we recognize and appreciate the help that Calvert has given us, particularly one of our weakest spots right now is Lexington Park. And there's more calls there than there are crews going out. So Commissioner Hance, we appreciate the help we get from Solomon's coming over, not only to help out Lexington Park, but also to help out Hollywood, because those are our most highly congested and populated areas. And at this present time, we realize there's just not enough crews to go around. We're working on addressing that in the past, and we'll be addressing it shortly in our budget upcoming. So with that, thank you very much.
Okay. Any further comments? No.
Commissioner O'Connor with St. Mary's.
Oh, yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to thank the directors from Charles and Calvert, as well as the staffing on both sides, acknowledging that the transition to a career service with a dual volunteer career service is something that Calvert and Charles went through prior to us, and helping us navigate that process and lending all the trials and tribulations that they went through, so we did not have to go through those, and it's helped with I would say a pretty successful deployment of a career staffing. So I just wanted to acknowledge the hard work of all the other counties directors working with ours at the same time, because it truly takes a team when you're talking about getting something like this up and running. So thank you very much.
Any further comments? Again, thank you. Next item. Was that a comment?
I think someone just has an open mic, Mr. President.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Collins, this is Randy Guy. I had to call in and I couldn't get on my team, so I'm calling in. I'm listening right now.
Okay. Welcome. I don't know if you wanted to add. I didn't know if you wanted to add anything.
No. Very good. Like I said, EMS thing, we're really building up you might say, our force right now, like everybody said, and hopefully we'll be well up to speed within the next year.
Right. Any other comments on this? I think the next item, and I have St. Mary's on this. It's dealing with legislation, and I think, and I'm I guess that's pretty open at this stage. If there are any comments, I know at the time we were looking at a Senate bill. I think it was 413, but I wanted to, and that was brought to my attention by President Guy. I didn't know if you wanted to speak on that.
Oh, thank you. This is David Weisskopf, County Attorney again. I have Assistant County Attorney John Hauser is on, and he has researched it. And John, if you could tell us a little bit about it, please.
Absolutely. Commissioners, John Hauser, Assistant County Attorney from St. Mary's County, who drew the short straw of 3 attorneys busting the office this year and got charged with being the point man for tracking legislation winding its way through Annapolis. Senate Bill 413 is what it purports to do if it would be enacted is that when voting rights are discussed kind of in just common parlance and everyday conversation, what people are usually referring to when they say that are the bucket of rights conferred upon protected classes in the Voting Rights Act of 1965 as amended in 1982. And specifically, usually they're talking about Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which affords that no member of a protected class shall find that their ability to vote or meaningfully engage in political discourse or electoral processes will be impaired or diluted because of the existence of a structure of government, an electoral practice, or an electoral process that dilutes or impairs that protected classes vote such that they do not have a chance to meaningfully participate in the political process. What SB 413 does is it takes the rights conferred upon the by the federal legislation and expands them and gives Maryland citizens a much broader category of rights that is not subject to the same some of the same restrictions and standing thresholds that federal courts have imposed upon the federal legislation in terms of what a protected class must do or a member of a protected class must do to establish standing to proceed forward on an alleged violation of the Voting Rights Act. What makes it of particular concern to our 3 Southern Maryland counties that last year, obviously, we dealt with HB 655. And I'm sure I do not need to repeat at length what HB 655 sought or how our counties responded to it in turn. SB 413 is not HB 655. HB 655 called for specific changes that would be made to the way the county commission, to our boards are elected. What SB 413 does, though, is by expanding the rights in the Federal Voting Rights Act, it does give a set of new substantive rights to Maryland citizens that they could likely, if this bill makes its way through the legislature this year, which there is some question of, that members of protected classes would then be able to exercise these new substantive rights in lawsuit and likely achieve through a lawsuit the ends that HB 655 sought. So that while it's not HB 655, it is in fact appears to be a way that HB 655 could be, well, not enacted in law, but the ends of HB 655 and the ultimate results of HB 655 could be sought and likely attained. I conferred with Charles County Attorney's Office on this one, and where we talked about on this one is that it doesn't seem for right now that this bill is likely to make it anywhere. It does have a hearing date set in the Senate Environmental Committee on February 23rd at 1 o'clock, and received any co-sponsors, though it hadn't received much attention or interest at all in the press that I can find. There's one Baltimore Sun article that went to press yesterday. Other than that, I cannot find anyone taking an interest in it. And I'll let Mr. Adams and Ms. Mitchell speak for themselves as well, but I think the recommendation right now is that this bill is probably something of interest for us to track and something for us to keep an eye on. And if the political climate looks like it's going to shift, it may be worth discussing again as county commissioners, similar to how we discussed HB 655 last year and came up with a regional response to it. But for right now, I think it would be most appropriate to take a wait and see approach and see where this legislation goes. There's no crossfile in the House right now either. And again, we're just doubtful if this legislation does make it anywhere past its hearing on the 23rd.
Mr. President, as you know, Ms. Danielle Mitchell from the County Attorney's Office tracks all the legislative items for that have an interest to the Charles County Board of County Commissioners. So if you would like, I would ask her to step onto the meeting at this moment.
Thank you, Commissioners. Danielle Mitchell, Associate County Attorney. I think Mr. Hauser very adequately summarized where we are. We really feel like this is a wait and see approach at this point. We are of the opinion, based on information that we're receiving from our lobbyists, that typically with a bill such as this, it may start with an election subcommittee on the House side. That's typically where your more serious voting rights bills would begin. That didn't happen in this case. There doesn't seem to be a lot of information about sort of the impetus for it. And so it doesn't seem like there's a strong likelihood of success, but you never say never. And so we will certainly be watching it. But at this point, as Mr. Hauser stated, there is no cross file. There are no additional sponsors. There's the one sponsor. So we would just like to just hold off. And also, it's worth noting, unlike HB 655, which really only dealt with a handful of counties, of which all of our Southern Maryland counties happen to be one, this bill is statewide. This bill affects all of the counties and all of the municipalities. That's going to take a real concerted effort on the part of this sponsor to get it moving. And so we just don't see that happening. But again, we'll be watching it and certainly update the boards as needed. So thank you.
Okay. All right, any further comments?
So, Commissioner O'Connor, if anybody could advise what if MACO has a stance on this and if MML has a stance on this.
Commissioner,
or if they don't, that'd be good to know.
So one of the reasons this bill was not on my radar until very recently is because MACO has not taken a position on the legislation. Neither has the Maryland Municipal League. It's not a bill they're tracking. I've sent an inquiry to Kevin Canale, MACO's legislative director, asking if they intend to. Have not received a response yet, although, Ms. Mitchell, it's my understanding that your lobbyist does not believe MACO or MML will be intending to take a position on this legislation.
That's correct. That's the information they received from MACO and MML, that they would not take a position.
I know Randy and I, we sit on the legislative committee with MACO, and that appears to be the approach. You know, Randy, certainly weigh in. I think it was intentional that we not, that MACO not take a position on this. So.
Commissioner Bowling has a question.
Mr. President, are we talking about any other legislation, or are you still on this topic of this particular one?
That was what was discussed preliminarily. Now, as I stated before, I was certainly opening the door for, any commissioners, if there were additional issues, because, I wanted to make it clear that we didn't exclude any matter to be discussed. So
There's two that are regional in nature. Senate Bill 136. I guess curious as to the other counties and their stance on that bill with CSM, if they have offer any comment on it. That's the bill to separate Charles from St. Mary's and Calvert. I know we took a stance unanimously to oppose the bill. I just didn't know how y'all felt about it.
I'm sure my commissioners would like to speak for themselves as well, but as soon as that was brought to their attention, they also voted unanimously to issue a letter of opposition. I believe we have forwarded that and uploaded that to the legislative committees as well.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Colvin. That's exactly right. We're 100% opposed to that bill and splitting up CSM. It just doesn't make sense for our region. It hurts all of us, and so we're opposed to it.
Good to hear.
Yeah, we just had a briefing from the CSM president. She definitely is opposed to it. He convinced us we should oppose it, so we are.
And Commissioner O'Connor, quite frankly, I think we were all blindsided by the legislation. I don't know about the other boards, but when it came across, we didn't even know where it was coming from in the sense of the thought process behind it. It appeared that CSM was also quite surprised at the legislation. So with that being said, obviously, I don't believe any of us were read into the intent of where that was coming from. So yeah, I'm glad that we're opposing.
Yeah, I found it interesting listening to the hearing today, to the president speak on, the numbers and where everything fell. That I think she said 44% of the students at CSM come from Charles County, but 64% of the facilities are in Charles County. So what she was explaining is that it seems like more people are coming out of your counties into our county. So it's not really, it's the reverse of what the bill is saying. It's almost like there's more facilities in Charles. So if anybody would be complaining, it would be you all. But I appreciate the regional teamwork on that, especially with what's going on in Hughesville and the college they're putting up for the nursing program and the trades. I just think it's important to stick together on this one, and that's why I asked. I believe I heard Calvert County sent a letter too. I just didn't know if that was confirmed.
That's correct.
Oh, and the only other one, Mr. President, was the SMATIC bill. The testimony went really good today. It seemed like for once that even everybody, Republicans and Democrats, both on the committee, were very much in favor of the bill, and I think it's really a boost. And just take time to thank St. Mary's County for the extra money they pumped into that regional ag center down in Charlotte Hall. I hope you guys realize how big of a deal that is for our local farmers and how much it means to them. So I just wanted to personally thank everybody down at St. Mary's for what y'all did to make sure that got through and is in your county. So thank you.
Well, Commissioner Morgan worked very hard for it.
Thank you. That's it, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Board members, please. Kind of blaze through the agenda today. So, any comments, any other matters? I know specifically we had, there was some requests related to, I can't even, I think dealing with issues within the region dealing with suicide. Was there anyone that wanted to raise that issue?
I'll lead into that one, Mr. President. The state of mental health in America right now is somewhat on a tipping point or a tipping edge. And we're seeing a lot of issues, PTSD, COVID, et cetera, which is causing obviously a lot of angst within the community, within families. The last few weeks, we've had 2 jumpers off the Thomas Johnson Bridge. Maybe it's been 3. 2 succumbed to injury. 1 was rescued. But we're getting concerned, we haven't had that many jumpers in a long time. And I think the commissioners of Calvert would acknowledge, they're the one, they have the rescue crew that has to go out, and we have boats. And just the other day when that individual jumped, the police were down on my beach trying to look for the body also. I don't know what the effects are going to be in the long run, nor do I know if they've ever had any of these types of incidents on the nice Middleton Bridge. But we're looking to try to be able to think about doing is, we'd like to get the bridge is a state bridge, just as the nice Middleton Bridge will be. We're trying to figure out a way to get a letter of support from the 3 counties that have the state looking into possibly adding a higher fence line or possibly putting nets down, but to at least to begin to seriously examine the situation of what the suicides are doing and causing, a lot of havoc, not only for families, but for the mental health people, for the emergency services people, et cetera, along the way. And I wanted to throw that out there to see what everybody thought about this subject, because I know that, one death from suicide is one too many. And obviously, once a person jumps off the bridge, there's a huge traffic jam on both county sides. The fact that they shut the bridge down for the accident investigation, and the bridge can be shut down for an hour or two at a time, and that doesn't do any good for anybody. So I'm opening it up with that for you guys, please.
So Commissioner Morgan, we had that same discussion yesterday about, while it's not a preventative measure for the core issue, at least a fence on that bridge would stop the jumpers. So we would certainly welcome the opportunity to partner in a letter to State Highway to make that request, to at least put that preventive measure in place and take away that option. But it's still, as you mentioned, the country's in a dire state right now, and mental health is one of those issues that we have to address, and it's going to become more and more important as we move forward.
Thank you, President Hance.
Mr. President, would it be appropriate for us to bring it up as an agenda item in one of our regular meetings for us? Would that be the appropriate matter to do it?
Yeah.
All right. I'll put the request in, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Bowling.
Commissioner O'Connor here. I want to thank Commissioner Bowling and also Commissioner Morgan for carrying some of the weight on this at the state level already, and with some of our colleagues. The state has already came back and said that a fence is not possible on the Thomas Johnson Bridge due to the type of vehicular traffic that we have going over the bridge. It would be impossible to get the right type of fence. So if we're going to focus our efforts, and I do appreciate everybody's attention to this, there are nets that can be put on the bridge that extend out anywhere from 10 to 15 feet, which entangles somebody that tries to jump off. Acknowledging that this is a countermeasure for somebody that has reached critical mass in making the decision to take their life. There's lots of other things that I'm sure we can focus on and look at to try to prevent it before we get to the point of looking to a bridge or taking your life. And we also, I think, going through this, acknowledge that we may take this option away, but if somebody is truly committed to that they're going to find another means to do it. And, I'm very passionate about this. I've lost several friends, military and police officers and family members to suicide. In fact, in 2 years, over 13 people just to suicide that have returned from combat. And so for me, this is one of those, if we can focus and try and save at least one life, I think we're doing the right thing, taking those steps forward versus just having the normal conversation about it. So I truly appreciate all the boards taking this step and trying to save a life on this matter. So thank you very much.
Yes, Commissioner Guy, I think we need to go ahead and just address a letter to MDOT from all of us and requesting some kind of a program of safety for that bridge, whatever it may take. Thank you.
I guess, Mr. President, it couldn't hurt to do it for the Nice Bridge too. While we're
certainly would.
Business to send in a letter.
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, Commissioner.
Taking a proactive approach, I would say that probably we need to also look at our health department and funding mental health services through our health department. I know that's really it's been a problem, underfunded health department. So I would say that we might want to start looking at how we can fund the operation and continuous operation of our mental health services through the health department.
This is Commissioner O'Connor here on that, and I'll give you an amen to that one, and thank you so much, because crisis intervention, mobile crisis teams, anything that we can employ through our health department to take proactive measures to help anybody with mental health in these types of crises are so important. So thank you for bringing that up so much.
Good afternoon or good evening, and this is Commissioner Stewart. I agree with Commissioner Coates. That is one of the issues that we are having in our community, especially starting with our young children. I do know our health officer, Dr. Abney, requested funds from the federal funds to be, go and focus on mental health. So I'm hoping as a region, our other health officers are using some of those funds to support and people who are in crisis for having I think Dr. Abney did a program that folks who are qualified will get that support from like psychologists and psychiatrists and stuff like that. So hopefully as a region we can do that. And lastly, one of the things I think we need to really look at, and I don't know which county wants to do this, I know Charles County and St. Mary's County mentioned some accidents, some jumpers, people have jumped in your county. We should probably get the data for the Nicebridge. So if we do a letter, we have data to back up the request. So I would hope that maybe Commissioner Collins, someone from our office, could reach out to the state to see if we have information like that, or the maybe the emergency services may have that information. But we definitely need that information if we're going to send a letter. Thank you.
It appears that we do have a consensus with our board to draft a letter, but I would kind of tend to agree with Commissioner Bowling that we might need to have a session where we, kind of discuss the details, and in response to your comments, if we had some actual data that could be a part of the letter, I think it would make it a little more forceful. But I guess maybe if we could get a sense of a timeline from the other counties of where we could kind of put, our forces together, like say, draft a set letter within a couple of weeks or something like that. Is that in line with your thinking, Calvin and St. Mary's?
Yes.
And Mr. President, I would say that, with the Nicebridge opening up and the possibility, or the heavy possibility, that the increase in traffic from 95 is going to switch over to 301, that maybe we get a little data just on the Woodrow Wilson, just to kind of give us some perspective of everything. I think the more data we have, the more information we have, it'll definitely help us. I don't disagree with Commissioner Stewart. I think that's probably valuable information to have.
Could I ask this question to Charles County? Are you aware of any jumpers off the Nice Middleton Bridge?
Yes, I am aware. Matter of fact, I knew the person that jumped about 2 years ago. So I do know one jumper, and I don't know if any other potential, may have been some other potential, but I do know one jumper that perished.
Thank you, Commissioner Coates.
You're welcome.
And this is Commissioner Stewart. I am aware of folks that have jumped many years ago, so nothing recently, but I do know someone who jumped maybe about 15 years ago. So.
And Commissioner O'Connor, I appreciate really the conversation on this. And as we navigate this, and I know things do take time to get together, the data does take time to collect, and it has to be well thought out and put together. The thing I leave with it is I'm hoping that we keep this as a priority for all three boards. Keeping in mind, we do lose 22 veterans a day to suicide. It may not be off the bridges, but it's other fashions, and that's 22 a day. So if we can lower that number and push on the state and try and do something, just as all this amazing conversation we've had on this, I definitely would be appreciative.
Okay.
So we'll definitely follow up on our end.
Thank you.
Any further comments on this subject? Any further comments or on any new topics? If not, I guess at this time we'll start closing out. I wanted to give Commissioner Guy an opportunity to give closing remarks. And thank you again for being a participant in this.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. I'm sorry I was so late getting on, but my computer wasn't set up for Teams, obviously, so I had a problem downloading everything. I appreciate this. Is great. I think we should do this probably more often. The three counties get together. We do have a joint border with all of you, so these important things that happen to us is happening to you also. So I think we made some good headway today, and we're slowly evolving into our emergency medical service team, and hopefully in the future some of these problems with the joint comments will come out once we get our building off to date, especially with the one up at the Charlotte Hall Veterans Centers. We get that set up and an extra ambulance up there. We're going to be well entrenched up in the northern part of the county. And all of these things that we talked about today really impact us all, and hopefully we'll get them all solved out. And then I know that you haven't started your pet adoption center yet, where you want to call it, Animal Control Center, and ours is well underway and we're almost ready to open. But whatever it takes for transition, we'll work with Charles County on this as we get along. Other than that, thank you very much for getting us together, Mr. Collins. That was good setup. And thank you very much.
Commissioner Collins, you're muted.
Yeah, Mr. Hance.
Thank you, President Collins. Again, appreciate your taking the effort to organize this meeting. And as we discovered, we do have some common issues that need some work. So maybe the next time we get together, we can have someone come in and speak about mental health issues in Southern Maryland, and maybe opportunities that we can all work together to address those issues, and work on a draft letter to State Highway that incorporates both bridges and preventive measures that we can have installed, whatever they may be. But again, just thank you for coordinating, and look forward to working on these issues as we move forward.
Thank you. I'm by no means need to accept any kind of credit for organizing this, because trust me, it would be all over the place if you were dependent on me to put this meeting together. So I want to thank staff. I want to thank our county clerk, Carol DeSoto. She's been obviously instrumental in putting this together, and our tech team and our media team for making it possible. And I think Commissioner Hance made a very important point. And I'd like, as we have future meetings, let's be open to the subject areas, because I think there are a lot of matters that we can discuss collectively, and it does give us an opportunity to kind of put in perspective the importance of our region. And I just want to close by thanking all of you. I want to thank my staff again, and I'd like to thank Board of County Commissioners for Charles County for being participants. And we'll follow up with our next meeting to discuss, the content of the letter that Charles County will be sending as part of this joint effort. And with that, there aren't any further comments. I guess we'll be closing.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you all very much.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Everybody later.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.